I think we're on. How's everyone doing? Thank you so much for joining me here. Always a pleasure to have you. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for showing up. Doing a Sunday night in the US, Monday morning here in New Zealand live stream to say hello and just putting myself here to make myself available for questions and answers, for queries, just to hang out really. I've got a beautiful cup of tea and I've got a glass of water here, and so I'll be here for approximately 90 minutes. So if you would like to join me, you're most welcome. Thank you. So let me know in the comments, if you could, if I'm coming through nice and loud and clear, and we'll go from there. So yeah, presumably the audio and the video is all good. I haven't had any feedback to say otherwise. So how you guys doing? What's happening out there? Where's everyone at? We'll just hang out for a bit. I'm here for about 90 minutes. I do believe it's somebody's birthday today too. Oh my gosh. Isn't that fun? All right, let's turn that off. Okay. Yeah, so anyway, just here, hanging out, saying hi. What's happening out there? I was wondering if I should theme today's live stream. But instead I thought, well, I'm just going to have another play with the software, see who shows up and keen for a chat, make myself available for questions and answers. I'll help you out the best I can. Maybe we'll do a little bit of psychic skill development. We'll do some metrics and testing and things. And yeah, let's just hang out and enjoy. So whether you're at work, you're hanging out at home, maybe you're kicking back on the Sunday evening out in the States. I believe it's the West Coast, it's your evening. It's good just to hang, isn't it? It's good to hang out and talk. Just to hang out with like-minded people, see what's going on in the world. One thing I've found out to be largely true is that, you know, whatever's coming through the news feed, whichever news feed it is, especially if it's from sort of, mainstream, doesn't necessarily reflect actuality. And so it's good to stay connected with people themselves. I've got friends scattered all over the world, and the information that I get from these people who I've developed relationships with, I tend to put a little bit more stock in it, in some cases, more than what sort of gets fed to us through the official streams and such. So, if you're in a part of the world right now and you've got something important to share, please drop it into the comments. We'd love to know what's happening out there, because we kind of rely on, the internet or the news or whatever else it is. But, when your boot's on the ground, citizen reporting. I have to say, it's an absolutely stunning day here today. There's a young guy where I think we've hit the school holidays. And so there's a young guy here playing the drums. And I have to say, over the years, I used to be a music teacher, and I've played in bands and things, and I can play a bit of drums. And he's getting pretty damn good, actually. He's got that right foot on the kick drum down, happening in all sorts of weird places, and that's always good to hear. And his rolls across the toms, he's got some chops, man. I do believe there's someone else over the other side, because I live in a valley, right? So right behind this wall is the hallway and the rooms, and then it dips down into a valley. And there's native bush and forest down there, and we're getting a lot of interesting birds show up at the moment. It's quite fun. And a couple in particular seem to be hanging out here. But anyway, so we've got musicians up and down the valley, and some of them are really good. Some of them are still practicing, and that's good. That's how it happens. Have any of you ever lived with a musician or somebody who practices music? Yeah, I think what it is there's this kind of like, oh yeah, cool. He's great. Yeah, he's really good at guitar, and you know what gets you good at guitar? Playing lots of guitar, and that includes playing lots of bum notes sometimes, and also lots of repetition. Whether it's because you're practicing or you just enjoy playing, you could be there sitting in your room for a couple of hours playing the same thing over and over and over and over, and your flatmates will drive them nuts. And so, you know, I don't. Yeah, and you don't. You want to encourage creativity, right? It's the same with having a drum kit. I mean, it's very hard to contain the noise of a drum kit. Here's a quick story. So when I used to drive out to people's houses to teach guitar, when I first started teaching, I remember I pulled up to this one young chap's house, and he lived down a long driveway. So I'm walking down the driveway, and it's in a beautiful part of where I live. Like, I'm very blessed to live where I am. And there was someone, I think it was a young girl, playing the violin. And woo, when you make a bum note on a guitar, yeah, it's not too bad. You can kind of work with it. I tell you what, some instruments are very hard on the mind, body, and soul, man, when you hit the wrong note, especially when it's like a high pitched instrument, like, say, a violin, right? And yeah, whew, I don't have too much of that around here. The other one is sort of brass and woodwind as well. That can get quite challenging, but that's all good. All right. Welcome. Thank you, everyone, for calling and stopping in. It's great to see everyone. Beautiful day here in New Zealand. I trust where you are is all good as well. What's happening out there? You guys got anything to share? Sunday night for some. I've got to say, I've really been enjoying uh, rereading through Initiation into Hermetics. I'll get the book out here. Book number 1. Why have I been enjoying rereading this? Because we're getting to this part of the year where, we're obviously heading into holiday season, and we're also relaxing. Maybe we're going away with friends and family, or we're going into seclusion, or perhaps we are reflecting on the year that's been and we're making plans on the year that's coming. And I have to say that, when it comes to my practice, I find that recentering myself by reading through the Barden corpus is very helpful. And even just sort of flicking through to a random page and reading through the material that's on that page, there's a lot of very densely packed info in there that can be, you can spend a lot of time extrapolating on that. But as far as your own personal practice goes, if you've been doing it for a while, you've probably got the exercises mapped out. You can sit there, you don't need the book. You're just doing the sort of the bare bones exercises. However, there is, I think that there is an underlying sort of context and even a type of ethos in the approach to life and the exercises themselves. And I mean, we can take or leave, certain suggestions on how to operate in the world now, for our betterment or for our detriment. And Mr. Barden is, quite explicit about some things. And, there's speculation as to the relevance or the necessity of certain, I guess, what you might call approaches, or how we our attitude towards practice, and also, what is important to us. If we come across, things that we find conflicting, how do we deal with that? And so, part of the process is discovering the best version of ourselves. And the road towards that will be filled with contemplation and fleshing things out. And these are very good skills to develop because expedience is our friend when it comes to, saving time, really. That was almost a double positive. But you know what I mean, though, because we're wanting to develop and flower and discover ourselves, and yet we also come across hurdles and obstacles that require us to overcome them, whether it's maybe a plateau in our ability to perform something. We hit a spot where we just can't seem to break through. Maybe there's a philosophical or ethical, probably not so much ethical, but definitely philosophical difference or point of contention we come across. And this could be in any system of training. But essentially, our goal is to, acquire attainment of the skills and keep following this pathway, because as it unfolds, new things emerge, and those new things can nourish our curiosity and our investment in our endeavor. And like I said, we're going to come across things that maybe they're challenging. Well, the good news is that we have some tools for dealing with those. Now, without getting into specifics, cheers, I'm just going to share some personal situations, or what I might call methods or methodologies for when we hit a bump in the road or a hurdle or some kind of blockage or obstacle. I think one of the best things I've found to do is just to sit with the thing and not try and figure it out. Just sit with it. You've got capacities and processes and what you might call resources and faculties operating just underneath consciousness, if you will, under your conscious mind. And these are seeing what you're paying attention to. And there's going to be a kind of what you might refer to as an offer of help that will emerge and just rise up out of the mind substance, if we call it that. Now, to obtain to encourage the emergence of suggestions, ideas, perhaps considerations and things for us to contemplate from this sort of faculty behind the scenes, if you will. And as we develop, we become a lot more familiar with this faculty. And so we can work with it more directly rather than sort of coaxing it. But what I've found is sometimes it's good to go and do something else. Go for a walk and think about it or not. One thing I will say is that sitting down and just observing it and not attaching to how it might best be solved. Rather, just pull right back, pull back, and just observe it as a separate thing. So there's you, and then there's the thing. And just sitting there and observing it. And just watch it for a bit and become familiar with it and get to know it. And any kind of yearning or deep sort of need to have it resolved and know, release it, just let it go. Just, doesn't matter, even if it really does matter. No, that's a good one. I really need to get this sorted. Yep, that's cool. Just sit there with it. And then, if you've reached this level of capacity, vacancy of mind, blank mind, void mind, empty your mind, and hold on to that. You may find within any amount of given time that some data will emerge. Now, what might happen is that you may encounter this data, you likely will, and instantly you'll start thinking about it. And you'll start attaching ideas and going, oh, how does that work? And the intellectual sort of process begins, right? Now, what this does is that intellectual process stops this other process that we started, which was allowing for things to naturally emerge. And so, how much data do we want? It's good, in my view, to have a pool of data to pick from, because these insights and these impressions that come through, some of them might just be random and completely unrelated. So on one hand, we've got a situation that we're trying to solve, or that we're setting up the conditions for the likelihood of a useful piece of data, a solution, an answer, some kind of hint. We're setting up the conditions for that information we desire to arise. And so you got your pad handy and your pen, and you're sitting there and you're just paying attention to it. Even before you blank your mind, you might find that some stuff will pop up. And you write it down. It's very valuable, and I would say important, that once you write it down, you just let it go. If you keep it in your mind and keep in constant and switch your function from just observing, whether you're observing the situation that you're trying to solve, or you are engaging in intellectual process of, you're either watching it or you're in a blank mind state. You want to write down the data that pops up. Maybe you set a timer on your watch or on your phone or something for maybe 2 minutes or 5 minutes. 2 minutes is good. And just sit there and pay attention. You may even find that process is mentioned in the very beginning of the practical section of Initiation into Hermetics. Now, it's not so much revealed how extra value can be harvested from the exercise at the beginning. In fact, even the vacancy of mind exercise. In some ways, you could say that the more you develop these capabilities, there is value that becomes self-evident, because you are learning to just pay attention. You are not being asked to engage with the information and do something with it. You're just asked to sort of observe and make notes. And then you can have a look at it afterwards and sort of seek to discover any value that you can do something with. So I wanted to share that, and I'll just give you the nutshell version now. So you've got a situation, you're not sure what to do. And we'll say that it could be like really, really important. It could be also really, really urgent. Sometimes you're just going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to think on your feet. You don't have 5 minutes to sit down and get into a nice sort of conducive state for answers and valuable, useful data to emerge. Now, I will say that you can certainly squeeze that timeline down. However, before we get to doing things in a hurry, because that places an extra set of weights on the thinking or the on the bar. let's just pull back a bit here. And this is what it's all about. It's about pulling back. There's a thing, you're paying attention to it. Maybe something will come up, you write it down, you move on, you keep paying attention. And then what you do is that you shift into a blank mind state. And you allow what can emerge from that. And the information that comes from that blank mind state, remember, you're holding a state where you're not allowing your thoughts to sort of, the run amok, the untempered or the unrefined or the what you might call sort of like the non-matured versions of your internal processes to start. But when you're in a blank mind state and you have an underlying desire to receive information, part of you knows that certain things are allowed to bubble up to the surface. It's kind of like there's a bouncer at the door. Not everyone's allowed in the club. Not everyone's up to spec. Sorry, bro, that shirt's no good here. You're going to be singeing retinas with that in the club, especially with those strobe lights. And like I said, we're at a stage of the year where we may be reconsidering what it is that we do with our lives for the next year, for the next 5 years. Where it's holiday season, maybe you're working. You can't help but feel there's a bit of a sort of a change of vibe worldwide, isn't there? Generally speaking, this is a time of year when a lot of the world is, there's a busyness, absolutely, but it's generally a holiday season because of this sort of late December celebrationary period where it's Christmas or Hanukkah or far out, How many different holidays are there at this time of the year? There's a couple of three, And so we will inevitably get to the 31st of December. And there's going to be a sizable representation of the world population who are going to be thinking about New Year's resolutions and I know some of you might be switched off a bit when you hear those words, New Year's resolutions, because you're like, that stuff never sticks. You make it to the gym on Monday and Tuesday and maybe Wednesday, or you give up smoking on Thursday and you find it hard to stick for whatever reason. This period of time around the end of December, early January, where people are maybe seeking to concretize or solidify some new preferences and operations. We have some advantages, and that is as hermeticists and magicians, in the sense that we understand as part of a sort of normal day of operation that we seek to affirm and reaffirm the personality and character traits that we wish to develop. And we do that with everything from our beads to impregnating our food and our drink, to one of my favorite ones that I found to be very potent is to use, put yourself inside the sphere and start packing in vital force, and then shift that into the chi or into the astral fluid, and then impregnate that with an idea. This is a thing. This is I am this. Whatever that is. I am a non-smoker. I go to the gym every day, or I go to the gym 5 days a week for 1.5 hours. Do 108 reps of that. Use your beads to help impregnate the field that you're building around yourself. And then maybe pack some more vital energy. And so you feel that this is being force infused into your very being at the deep level of yourself, at the cellular level or whatever. You feel it. You've done your vital pore breathing, your skin breathing, you can feel how this impregnated idea is affecting you, because you start with this sphere of energy and then you pack it to condense it so you feel a thickness and a substantialness in it. And then you load an idea into it, and then you notice how you feel on each stage. And then you can press it in, right? So, we can use the body mechanic of building the ball. Once you've got your mental body around manipulating and moving energetics, you can just press it in with that too. I find this is always good fun, though. I've got to say, I'm really getting into Tai Chi just because of that reason, or movement and motion with the sensation of energies. I digress. So, this time of year, it's a great opportunity to take advantage of a phenomena in the collective. There's a group of people who are going to be making, who are going to be able to follow through with their solar calendar readjustments. We're coming at the end of a calendar cycle that is, whether we like it or not, and however accurate it may be in regards to how it conforms to celestial bodies moving and cycles within our solar system and so on and so forth, and cycles that maybe aren't so obvious. This is the calendar we've got. There's a large group of people that abide by this calendar, and there's an energy behind an idea of making declarations about who and what we wish to become in this coming period of time. And so, for example, you might find that, the beginning of the year, you might know this because you've been practicing a while. It's like, yeah, you can feel the vibe. Everyone's getting busy. I really notice it around sort of the end of January, early February, when all the kids are going back to school and everyone's kind of back at work and back in the groove, and they've sort of like found their feet again after having a bit of time off. People are getting really excited about, whether they're a new business or they're in a business where their bosses allow them some creative expression and these types of things. There's a real cool time happening, And so, the end of December, beginning of January, great time for just putting down some real basic stuff like, I exercise every day. I meditate every day. Whatever. I eat healthy food. I eat organic food. I smile at people. Whatever. And then at the end of January and February, early February, that may be a good time to sort of look at specifics of goals. Maybe you've had a month to get the raw version down, right? You've been hitting it at the gym and you've been like going, okay, well, I've been doing arms and chest and legs and back and so on and so forth. And you get to sort of early February and you're like, okay, my workouts are a bit chaotic, or I want a plan. And that's where you can, you can refine it a little bit. But yeah, I'd say you don't need to put too much pressure on yourself. Oh, goodness, no. You can easily start with very basic things. And if you at the beginning of the year like to reassess your practice schedule, maybe think about how much time you've got available to you and just, plot that out And then once you get to sort of January, February, this is all suggestion, of course, you may find that actually I want to up that. I think we have a bit of space over the end of year holidays, the Christmas holidays, whatever we want to refer to them as. We may be going on a holiday. We can go and sit out somewhere and just sort of let things appear to us, and then we can sort of take action on them at the beginning of the new year. But I found this to be good, especially using the methods in, Barden's system, because obviously if you go into YouTube, you're going to find, hundreds of people on there, thousands even, with similar ideas or how to get things done and how to choose. And choosing is, I find, sometimes can be the trickier part. The doing is one thing, the choosing is the other. Now, some things are going to be easier, but anyway, hold that thought. I'm just going to have a sip on my tea, and I see there's a comment here. I have no idea how to read. Is it Skinwalker? Awesome. Maybe Skinwalker Ranch, yeah? Well, thank you. What up, y'all? Yeah, choosing can be tricky, especially like, this life experience is a veritable sort of like a cornucopia of options for us, isn't it? There's so much we can do while we're here. It's like, I don't know what to do. There's too much. Well, the good news is that you've got lots to choose from. The bad news is that it's pretty hard to squeeze it all in, Unless you're really, really young, like maybe you're in your teens or your early 20s, hey, man, just go for it. Fill your boots. And you're obviously going to have a lot more energy and capacity for certain things. And, I'm in my sort of mid-40s, and I've discovered a lot of what I don't like and what I don't want in my life. And so I go to efforts to try to, bring about the things that I do want, which I have to say, even I'm still figuring some of that out. I think, with these practices especially, they kind of crack open the ability to really discern genuine interests, like real deep interests. Some things are passing interests, they're shiny things. It's pretty hard not to get affected by collective fads and novelty, the latest thing. Like, has anyone woken up at 3:00 in the morning and gone, oh yeah, I better get my Elf on a shelf? Now, probably a lot of us don't, or we may do it because it's fun or funky or whatever. But, when you kind of become sensitive to data that maybe you weren't able to pick up on before, you're going to hear a lot of chatter, and that's going to affect your decision making sometimes. So it's good to... Oh, I lost my train of thought. Look at that. There's a lot. Can you guys hear all the noise in the background? I've got the mic noise reducer on, and I think there's a weed whacker and a guy on drums, and there's some construction and that. It's not that great for taking sessions at the house like it used to be. Back in the old days, I remember them. But yeah. But anyway, what are you guys up to? What's happening out there? Like I said, it's a beautiful day here in New Zealand. There's lots of noise. I think everyone's getting things sorted out for the holiday period, which is pretty fun and cool. We had a whole bunch of family come around yesterday and set up the Christmas tree. They're into that. I'm not sure where I'm at with a lot of sort of popular holidays and things now. I really like... there's some things I like about getting together with people, and there's some things I don't. I struggle with some things too, actually. There's some things that really grate me. And even after all these years of meditating and, trying trying. Literally, I'm not just attempting. I'm actively seeking to just neutralize the effects of these things that grate me. Just like which was it? One of those Riddick movies with Vin Diesel in it. He has to get across this pool filled with these like snakes or these big worms that bite you and or sting you, and then you get this paralyzing venom, and you just freeze up, and they drag you under, and whatever goes on. So what he does is he catches one, and then he just slowly customizes himself to the poison, if you call it that, or the paralyzing venom, whatever. And but there's some things, I don't know, maybe next year, maybe in 10 years, I don't know. And that's okay. You just kind of accept things about yourself. Or you can shine a laser on them and go, man, I'm going to nail this. And I think obviously some things are going to be a lot more easily accomplished than others. And yeah, I think too that given the amount of available data there is on the internet, if we want to make changes in our personality, there are so many ways of approaching this. But just auto-suggestion with the beads and impregnating food and, putting these things into our consciousness before we go to bed and when we wake up first thing in the morning. These are great ways of doing it. So anyway, what about you guys? Have you guys got anything you would like to change about yourself that you'd like to share? Or have you found any methods for transformation that you found to be particularly effective? I'd love to hear. Please put them in the comments. Okay. Well, we've pretty much hit the 36.52 minute mark, which everybody knows is when I bust out my... You guys must think I'm nuts. I love it. All right, here's the box. We're going to play a game. We're going to test some psychic skills. Now, for those of you who have got iPhones, I'm going to show you this app. I've got it on my old iPad here. You'll have to excuse my iPad. It's like 12 years old, and the battery is still sweet as. I'm impressed. Unfortunately, it's got a dirty big crack in the screen because I had it using as a video thing, and I had my electric guitar on years ago, and I smacked the head of the guitar into it, and oh well. But it's still completely usable. But this is, if you go to the Apple App Store and look for ESP Trainer, you will find this app here, and this probably doesn't come out very well. I'm sorry, guys. But essentially, there's 4 colored squares, and they're colors of the elements even. And what you can do is you basically go, okay, you can see it there. So we've got the 4 elements, but you don't have to think about them as elements. They just happen to be colored. Now, it's obviously more of a Golden Dawn system of color in some ways. But anyways, so let's say tap the correct square to see a picture. So what we do is that we explore a range of ways of entering different sort of trance states. And I think a very simple way of approaching this, or considering it, because you might be like, I can't understand what you're saying, Phil. That's okay. A good way to sort of explore how to sort of move into different sort of states of mind is to do just that. It's to actually move your awareness into a different location, 3-dimensional location. So let's say your mind is sort of all around your head. Maybe you just sort of concentrate on a point, like right here. Let's think about that point. Okay. And then you might be like, okay, I'm just going to hang there. And then you'll grab the app and you'll hit the button. Perfect. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't. Remember, it's not about getting it correct or incorrect at this point. It's just about observing to see we want to remember, because we're documenting a process here potentially. I mean, we can just have fun with it too, right? But wouldn't you like to get like a high score on a psychic app? That'd make you feel pretty good, wouldn't it? But there's other ways of doing this. Now, let's say you haven't got a cell phone, or I think it's not, that particular app is not on the Android Play Store. However, there are plenty of other ESP apps on there, and they're all a bit different, and you just got to have a play around. What I'm going to do is I've got some cards here, some normal playing cards. And, oh, you're most welcome. Thank you for joining us. So now, on that app I showed you, there were 4 options. Okay. Now, getting 1 out of 4, that's like 25% chance of getting it right, if we just use that kind of statistical type language. What up, buddy? It's been a while. It's great to see you. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Cheers. Right. So, like I said, if we're choosing to get something right out of 4 options, the odds are a bit trickier than, say, if we're picking 1 out of 2 options. Now, the cool thing about cards is, these are normal playing cards, right? You've usually got one of they can be split up into 2s, 4s. What else could you split them up into? There's obviously, there's red or black. That's your 2. There's your 4s of the 4 suits, which are related to the 4 elements because they're related to the tarot deck. There's, choosing the number, and the suit. The number could be king, queen, or jack too. But, when you're moving between sort of mental constructs of things like numbers and letters, that's a whole nother this and that type of thing. I mean, you could say, okay, it's a number. Nope, it's a letter. Oh, okay, I'm going to pick a number. Nope, it's another letter. This type of thing. So we want to keep it straightforward here because we want to, kind of comprehend what we're up to. And so what I'm going to do is I've got a little pack of cards here. Let's see how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There we go. 13 months in the year at 28 days per month would equal approximately, I think, 364, is it? 8 times 3, yeah, that's about right. 364. Wouldn't that make for an interesting year? Instead of having 12 oddly sized months, we'd have 13 evenly sized months, and we'd have to do something with those little weird sorts of those other day or day and a half. But anyway, I digress and waffle on. We're going to go for red or black. We'll keep this real simple. Okay. Now, just some preface rules here, or let's say our goal is to be successful in this. First of all, we're going to explore putting our mind or our awareness or our mind intent in different locations in our cranial capacity, in our skull, and our headspace area. You could put your mind down in your gut, in your lower dantian, or you could put it in your heart, or you could put it up here even, What I'd say to you is just try staying in one place for a while. And if you've got a pen, just make a note. I got it right or wrong, put a tick or a cross. And there's also ways of noting things down, which can be more conducive to higher quality sort of outcomes too, because if you see too many crosses, it can be a bit deflating. And you want to be neutral in your emotional stance when you're doing this. This is actually the same with healing as well. You just want clean pass through. You don't want emotional coloring. And so, if you get it right, okay, cool. If you get it wrong or incorrect, that might be a better way to put it. Okay, that's it. Not like, or that, that's going to wear you out. That's going to pull on resources. And that's not what we want. I just want you to very clearly sit. Let's do a few breaths together. So I'm sitting in my chair. I've got a mostly straight back. I'm going to sit forward a bit on the chair. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to take some breaths and we're going to breathe in through the nose, deep down into our belly. We're going to feel our belly expand and our rib cage open up. And we're going to hold it in the nose. And then we're going to exhale through the nose, feeling the tummy deflate and things just sort of contract in a little bit. Let's breathe in. Tummy expanding, rib cage opening up. I'm just going to talk a bit quieter as well because we want to get into a nice relaxed spot. We're looking for a clean signal. Hold it and release. Breathing in. And release. So what we're doing is we're just pulling in a little bit. We're just relaxing. Got any tension? Just roll your shoulders back and forth, drop them down, like that. We carry a lot of tension across here, or we can do. This is what I come across in my healing work. So it's good to loosen up. You might even find, like, for example, if you're a tarot reader or a psychic or you're doing whatever, some kind of, divination type work for people, you may find that going outside, doing some Tai Chi or some loosening exercises helps. All right. We're going to go for red or black. So it's going to be 50% chance. I don't want you to think too much about it. What I want you to do is in between the cards, I want you to remember to decide which space you're going to occupy within the field, if you will. My suggestion, I'm going to tell you what I do, is that I put my mind up, just kind of in the area. It's sort of like half in and half out of my head, maybe towards the back of the crown a little bit there. I'm not thinking about the crown so much as I'm thinking about, there's a place I can move it where it kind of feels kind of thick. And what I do then is I sort of plop myself into it. And it's like a river that just kind of carries me. I'm just being carried. I'm not having to carry it. I'm not having to use the muscles to hold it up. It's just kind of sitting and bobbing and moving down this road. It could be the pineal, could be the pituitary. I would say, pick a spot and just hang out there. You guys ready? Let's do it. I can't see what these are either, so I'm not going to telepathically transmit them to you. So I'm going to pull a card, and I'm going to say to you, red or black? 3, 2, 1. I'm not going to do the countdown every time, though, because that's going to maybe put a bit of unhelpful pressure on the situation. Black. Okay, put your mind in that space, maybe just above your head a little bit. Flowing down the stream, being carried. Easy peasy, everything's easy. Life is but a dream. Black. Sometimes it's good to take a breath, just reset. Maybe soften your eyes. Don't squint your eyes up, just soften your eyes. Soften your face muscles. Let's do a quick meditation. Soften your jaw muscles. Relax your face muscles. Feel your forehead nice and expansive. That's it. All right, you ready? Let's go. Red or black? Red it is. Next one. black. Next one, black again. Black. Red. Black. 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 Red. This one. Red. Think on your feet, guys. And the last one. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Isn't that cool? That's the ace of spades, which of course is black. And it's got a weird symbol on it that looks like HK. Hermetic Kabbalist, maybe. Hermetics Kabbalah? I don't know. All right. So that was red or black. And I have to say, it's good because it can help to reinforce a positive self-image, because chances are you should get a reasonable score, and if you don't, that's okay too. Remember, being indifferent about this is part of the practice I've found to be very helpful. And I've seen this mentioned in books where people are teaching, psychic skills and things like that. It's to remain indifferent. And I've heard this mentioned with healing as well. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go for 1 out of 4. We're going to pick the suit: hearts, diamonds, clubs, or spades. Okay. And let's go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 cards. All right. So this is, there are no jokers in this pack. They're all, ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, king. So what you're going to do is I'm going to pull the card. Let's take a breath. And we're going to pick, maybe you see a little bit of red first, which makes you go, oh, so maybe it's a heart or a diamond. Or maybe you see pointy things on it and you go, oh, pointy, that seems more like diamond than club or than heart. Heart has kind of got a pointy bit on it, isn't it? But what impressions do you get? You guys ready? Let's take a deep breath. Centering and release. Pop yourself back into that little stream of moving water that's carrying you towards the information you seek. Being carried. Relax your face muscles. Open up your forehead. Feeling spacious. Okay, let's do this. 1 of 4. The first one is spades. The next one is spades again. Spades again. Diamonds. Diamonds. Hearts. Spades. Hearts. Diamonds. Spades. 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 Making a regular appearance, aren't they? And our lucky last. Diamonds. Easy peasy. All right. How'd you get on? Oh, hey, Tim. Tim, I just want to say I am so grateful. You're a very supportive person, commenting, sharing, encouraging audience interaction and things like that. I'm very grateful for you, brother. Thank you so much. Now, let's make it hard. Let's make it really hard. All right, I'm going to pick some other cards here now. All right. Let's do the same again. 13 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, now what we're going to do is... Actually, I'm just going to pull certain ones out. We won't use court cards. Yep. Okay, we'll just use the picture cards. So what I'm doing, guys, is I'm just kind of, and I'm not, that includes aces, so no aces, no letters, basically. These are all purely going to be numbers. In fact, let's skimp this right down to single digit numbers too. Let's go for that. That's a good idea. There's enough to play with 2 to 9 without bringing in 10s and aces. Okay, cool. Just make sure that these are all good. Don't put any hurdles in there. All right. Well, unnecessary hurdles anyway. Like I said, success begets success. We want to compound that success. And I don't know how many cards I've got here, but let's just run through it. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oops, put those around the wrong way, didn't I? I don't want to do that. I want to make sure I get this right. There's 5 decks of cards in there. When I first got them all and put them in there and shuffled them all, oh man. Yeah, good workout. All right, here we go. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick a number between 2 and 9, or not. You can just sit back and enjoy if you want. Maybe you like listening to the sound of my dulcet tones. Whatever floats your boat. What we're going to do is we're going to take a deep breath in the nose and release. Check our posture. Keeping the back nice and straight. Yeah, that's it. Opening the spine up. Breathing in. I can see why people get addicted to Tai Chi. I can totally tell. All right. Okay, Tim. Okay, well, Tim's picked a number. Okay, so we'll see if he's right. But yeah, you don't have to put them in the chat, brother. That's all good. But hey, you're welcome to as well. But I might just turn the chat off though, because otherwise I get a bit distracted by that. There we go. Okay, here we go. All right. So let's see if I can make this full screen. That'd be fun. Oh my gosh, look how big I am. How do I look? Apparently this is 720p. Doesn't really look like high def, but then again, whatever. Okay, so I've got 13 cards here. You're going to pick a number between 2 and 9, including 2 and 9, and that's it. First card. That's a 2. It's a 4. It's another 4. Is it 2 4 of diamonds? There you go. Next one. No way. It's another 4. How cool is that? No. You ready? Relax. It's an 8. It's a 5. It's another 4. Huh. It's a 3. So let's just quickly check our protocol, whatever we're using. It's good to not jump around too much. Get used to going, you know what? I'm occupying this area. I'm thinking about this. I'm doing that. Is it working? Is it not? And run that through a few times. Pressure test that such scenario. All right, here we go. Here's the next one. I'm just thinking of Jaws. All right. My family were watching that last night. Jaws 2. Speaking of 2. Oh, another 4. All right, here we go. Okay, I'll do that. I'll start over at this end. Oh, hang on, don't turn it around. Oh, this mirrored screen. That's not minute. Okay, do. You ready? Let's go. It's a 5. Lots of diamonds. Okay, what do we got? Floating on that river, just easily being carried down like I'm being completely supported. I'm weightless. 8. Hmm. 9. Last one. Ready? Ta-da! Oh, we got a 7. Look at that. How wonderful. Let's make things harder again. Oh, hang on. How do I pull that down a bit? Oh, Tim, you got your 7. There you go. Hey, Melly, thank you so much. Thanks for joining in. All right. Okay, now what we're going to do, and some of you might be cool with this and some of you might not, but I'm going to use tarot cards now. And why are we doing that? Well, a tarot card has usually got a bunch of colors on it. Okay. In this case, it's really got two colors, or maybe three. It's got like a gray and a kind of like a dark gray, tealy green, I guess, and there's a yellowy gold. But there's also a phallus on here, like a tall symbol, a shape. There's a light, there's a stick, there's an old man with a beard. Now, how information gets presented to us, it's not always going to be literal. What do I mean by that? Well, the reality is that we receive information via the different sense gates all throughout the day and in the night to some extent. And so some information, like this, when people speak to us, it's generally literal, like they're using words that mean stuff, okay, that we can generally identify with. We can understand what they're saying. And hopefully most of the time we can understand that they are actually, putting it in a way that we can easily understand. If we have to flesh it out a bit with them, well, so be it. But there's also inferences through symbolism. And it's like a dream, when you're dreaming about a green garden snake or a green snake, maybe it's actually about the hose, the garden hose, or maybe you're dreaming about a car and it's a beaten up old car and you're in the passenger seat at the front. Somebody else is driving. The car could be your body, your actual physical vehicle. It's in bad shape. And perhaps you're letting someone else call the shots as far as which way you point yourself. Thank you, Melly. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining in. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for being with us. And so, there's all this kind of descriptive language. Maybe we write stories. It was a pointy thing. It smelled of cookies. Sometimes we can't see it. We have to use other things. I can hear something coming closer. It sort of reminds me of a marching band, maybe marching through pudding or something like this. It's like, it smells sweet, but it's got lots of banging and clanging. Let's just, and I'll maybe it's better if I illustrate what I mean here by picking a card here. Sad. I feel sad. I've got a card here. Feel a bit sad. And there's a sort of a sloshiness to it. But there's also a direction, moving away from something. But, there's a kind of a somber tone. And there's something pointy, very very clear cut to me, and I'm being. I feel like we're traveling, or there's a movement sensation. So I'm talking about, we're hearing the sloshiness, or where we're hearing something, we're feeling it. These types of things. So let's have a look at what the card says. Okay, so this was just me just picking a card and randomly talking about how impressions may come through. So here's our six of swords, and we're in a boat. On the bottom right, we can see there's some water that's quite choppy, and then on the left, the water is not so choppy, and he's literally like putting the stick can't remember what that's called, the oar of some sort, or the rod, into that border to push himself away from it. Now, there's only a small number of colors on there, but there's an orange and a blue. Maybe you have sensations that are related to those. But what I'm getting at here is that we're going to get information come through, and like I said earlier in this live stream, it's not always about sort of the first piece that comes through. Sometimes it is, and some will say, and I have this experience too, is that first piece of data that comes through is usually the right one. However, when is the thing, when that first piece of data comes through. Now remember, there's an ideal state, or perhaps a whole bunch of them, but we want to just get one down first. We want to find out where it is that we locate our awareness and the experience that our awareness is having when we're experiencing success and making correct guesses. What? If you've been in the stream for a bit, putting our awareness just up inside our head cavity, up, and then we're just dropping down and we're being carried. And we're just allowing impressions and thoughts. So it's not a vibrant forest scene or a mountain scene and there's birds chirp. That's noise. We're not wanting to exercise our visual imagination. We're exercising stillness, essentially. We're focusing on this feeling of being carried, though, because it's like we're kind of letting go of the oars a little bit, and we're being brought towards the information we seek. We're sort of trusting in a process. Now, let's pull out 13 cards again. Actually, we'll make it 5 cards, eh? No, let's make it 7. There we go. This is not a reading. This is about receiving data. So let's go for 7 cards. All right, here we go. Seven cards from the Rider-Waite deck. Okay, let's take a breath. Straighten the back. Easy to drop into slouchy positions. That's why we have teachers reminding us to check our posture. Okay. What are you picking up? What do you sort of feel like's coming your way? Are there any? You may have been thinking about something else, and yet something else has just kind of pushed its way through and gone, "Hey," and you might be like, and it's something really weird. Maybe you thought of a cucumber, or a fishing rod, or okay, those are 2 phallic things. Maybe you thought about a bowl of fruit. It must be getting close to eating time. I'm talking about food, aren't I? maybe you feel like it's at home. You feel relaxed. Maybe you feel peaceful. Maybe you feel like you've got something nudging you to do something. Maybe there's an urgency. Maybe there's a spikiness to it. Just whatever comes through that, the loudest thing that's coming through, or the quietest thing. It's okay. Remember, no emotional investment. That can color potential outcomes here. Let's see what happens. Oh, he's probably going to have a bit of a sore back by the end of the day. Beautiful day, though. Maybe you felt heat. Suit of Wands, fire element. Maybe you felt this determination to get a job done. Maybe you're looking forward to getting home. Let's carry on. All right. All right, let's just tune in here. Okay, I'm putting my awareness up here. I'm just slow breathing in and out through the nose. Deep breaths into the lower part of the abdomen. And I'm going to let my breath normalize. And I'm just seeing what pops up. Oh, what's that got to do with anything? That's all right. Just let it be. Maybe it's really bizarre. Oh my gosh. Oh, where did that come from? It's okay. Just let it be. Maybe you're feeling something. Maybe you're smelling something. Maybe you've got a memory that just popped up of an experience you had. And that's sort of like the hint. All right, let's have a look. Oh, put it up the right way. Oh, round things with spiky stars in them. People sitting down. Colors. Giving with the right hand. Suspending with the left hand. Balance. Harmony. Want. Sort of maybe like a giving or generosity, but measured generosity, like intelligent generosity. All right, let's do another. Eh? Okay. And let's not even worry about getting things right or wrong here. Let's just focus on just working on our impressions, our listening for impressions. So now all of the major arcana cards are in here. They don't really relate to the elements like the minor arcana cards do, although you can see how they are sort of present, or they're inferred anyway in some ways. So colours coming through, dull colours, vibrant colours, a mix of colours, maybe one or two colours only. Oh, I'm getting this impression there's only maybe two colours, or maybe there's a whole spectrum of colours. It's a busy card or a busy scene. Are there people in it? Maybe there's animals. Is there an intelligent movement in this? Maybe the sun's out. Maybe it's nighttime. Maybe it's cold. Maybe it's windy. Let's find out. Oh, once again, we have someone up and two people on the ground. What can we pick from this? Well, this chap looks like he's a bit important, doesn't it? Probably best dressed guy in the room. Presumably it's a dude. Yeah, it looks like a dude. Generally speaking, it's probably, usually in this case, because it's most likely a dude. But we don't have to worry about that side of things. But he's exalted. He's got a pillar on either side of him. He's wearing a very sort of like a very sort of authoritative sort of figure, right? It's about structure. Okay. All right, let's do the next one. So we're guessing cards here, guys. That's what we're doing. I'm happy to do a reading afterwards for anyone as well, if anyone's got one in the chat there. I've turned the chat off, just saying, okay, because it can be quite distracting when I'm doing teaching stuff. So, all right, let's have a look at another one here. What do we got? Breathing in. Just releasing and relaxing. We're releasing the need to know. We're just playing here, playing a game, just hanging out. Is there life? Do you sense life? Or do you sense static, sort of fixed? What about abundance or starkness, blandness, desolation? What about the color palette? Is there? Do you sense a feminine energy, or maybe a masculine energy? Let's have a look. It's quite soft, lush. Lots of food and growth and grapes. It's an animal under control. It's a what do they call it? A falcon with a cap on. There's a snail there by my finger. Some trees and some life. It almost looks like it's kind of in the afternoon. Okay. Next one. What are we feeling? What are we picking up on here? Are there round things, soft things, pointy things, jagged edges? Is it abrupt? Is it relaxing? Is it hopeful? Is it hopeless? Is it out of our hands? Is it in our hands? Is life trying to break through a throttling, like a bottleneck? Is it being successful? Is it feeling determined? Is it cold? Does it smell sweet? Let's have a look. Oh, look at that. They're having a party. Dancing. They got their cups. They got their abundance. It's a beautiful day. It's a good thing. It's a good vibe. Yeah, nice. All right. Couple more. I'm going to look at this one. I'm not going to say anything. Just going to sit here with it for a bit. And I'm going to think about it. And I'm going to radiate out into the universe an observation. I'm going to keep it abstract. All right. You guys ready? Let's have a look. Cup's knocked over. Good news is there's still a couple there. Long black, like I said, once again, we have this phallus here. But we got someone whose head is bent over. Another name for this card is disappointment. There's a body of water and a bridge and a building here. But all that's being focused on is what's happened. Right, let's do the last one. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to look at this one and I'm going to project out an impression. Okay. Let's see if you can pick up on something. Now, I want you to choose. I want to see what Phil's sending out through the ether here. Or actually, I'm not interested. I don't want Phil any psychic tips or hints or psychically delivered tips or hints. I just want to focus on the card, and that's fine. I'll keep a clear line. I'll sit over here, and I'll put this right here like this. Okay. So I know what's on the card, and I'm going to pump it out. So if it is, then focus on me. Otherwise, if you just want the card, focus on the card. Or if you just want to just take whatever you can get, just focus on the whole thing. Taking a breath, feeling relaxed, being carried towards the information. We're playing a game. Let's see what pops up. Okay, you guys ready? Let's have a look. Oh, Ace of Pentacles, look at that. What a great card to finish on. So we've got a prominent circle here and a pointy star-shaped thingamajiggy. How wonderful. How wonderful indeed. So what I've just taken you through, and I'll probably download this video and chop it up a little bit and then put it back up, is I've just taken you through a very simple way of increasing the complexity of guesswork. So, we're starting with very easy kinds of odds of red or black, this or that, right? And then we made it a little bit more complicated and we go, okay, well, that was one choice out of two options. Now let's make it one out of four. Okay, so we're making it sort of twice as hard. Clubs, diamonds, spades, hearts. And then we made it 1 out of 9. Oh, sorry. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, 1 out of 8. So that's actually doubling it again. Isn't that interesting? And then we shifted to bringing in more senses online. So I took you straight up to the sort of like it's a different sort of a way of approaching picking up on incoming data. And these are good exercises because they train our ability to sort of hold ourselves in a space where information's coming through. And, when we're writing it down, when we're practicing at home, we're aiming for correctness. We're not just wanting to pick up random stuff because there's all sorts of random data flying around in the environment. I mean, there's what your neighbors are thinking. There's what the neighborhood's thinking. There's the, there's the local spirit wildlife, if you will, the local chatter from, that. And then there's, of course, projected messages through airwaves and things, I mean, we've all heard the story about the kid who got the filling or the braces or something who's picking up radio stations, right? So training these types of skills, it's very valuable because we are expanding on existing sensory input gates. We're taking that gate and then we're stretching it a bit, and we're looking at it this way, looking at it through this way, and different things come down the pipe, and we can sort of get good at separating the wheat from the chaff. Because some of it's just a bunch of noise. There might be some little being or something floating around going, oh, this guy wants information. Yeah, I've got a whole swag of it. Here you go, bro. Have some. Completely irrelevant to what you're seeking. This is good stuff, man. And I'm glad for you guys that you were able to call in and hang out. I'm grateful. Thank you so much. All right. Anyway, so cheers. I'm still here, by the way. I'm not heading off just yet. Let's have a look in the chat. Oh, thank you, Tim. I appreciate you, brother. Always good to see you. I would like to know if Alex needs me. So I'm presuming, Camilla, that you're sort of requesting maybe an insight. Okay. Absolutely. I'm happy to share with you some quick feedback. I would like to know if Alex needs me. I'm just going to pull a card out for you, Camilla. Oh, King of Pentacles. It looks like to me that this person here has pretty much got all that they desire as far as earthly gains go. And that can be distracting for some people, having stuff, right? However, once people fill their boots with material items, at some point it's not going to be fulfilling anymore, and they're going to be looking for more depth. And satisfying the material needs of our being is, there's certain base needs that we have as humans and beings here. We need a place to live. We need food and water and shelter. And the one thing that some people don't understand is they actually, social interaction is if that's something you're used to, it's something that we can become a bit reliant on as well. And it's healthy to have interaction with others. And some of us, depending on if, what you're practicing at the time, if you're just in the world, chances are you're going to want to hang out with people. And that includes a significant other. Now, I don't know if Alex is a significant other or perhaps a family member, or it could be a dog, or it could be anyone, anything. But what I'll say is this. Based on this card, my insight tells me he will find you. He will find you, and he will find you in his own time, or their own time, because Alex can be a girl's name as well, obviously, or whatever. So I hope that is useful to you. I mean, that's a single card draw. Now, if you want to connect for a more in-depth reading, you can contact me through philrice.setmore.com. I have a booking app set up there where people can connect with me for one-to-one in-depth readings. So, like I said, guys, developing these skills, I mean, they're not just for people who do, psychic work, or they're healers, or they're magicians, or whatever. Essentially, these kinds of skills can be employed in urgent situations to an extent too. If you're at a fork in the road, right, and you're like, oh my gosh, Do I go left? Do I go right? Left looks a bit easier, but right looks a bit harder, but I'm not sure. And it's one of the things of life is that we have options. Now, some options are easier than others. Do I get a purple one or do I get a green one? I'm not sure. Well, there's ways of figuring that stuff out. Sometimes it's just as easy. If it's not too important, you just flip a coin, right? And then you go, I don't like that one. And then you go the other way. Sometimes it's your response to making a choice that can inform you whether or not it's actually truly your desire. But just exercising and stretching these sort of muscles of impression-based data coming in, it's one thing to open the pipe a bit wider so that more stuff comes through to help us, to give us a larger pool of data to draw from and sort of divide up and flesh out and all that, which is great. And sometimes it doesn't need to be that involved or that complicated. But these skills in general, if we practice them regularly, they start to become unconscious processes. We just do it automatically. We just somehow know the best choice. I've got a friend up the road, as far as I know, she's never done any training, but she's got a real good knack for picking stuff. She knows, she just kind of shows up at the right place at the right time. Now, what prompted her to leave at that time, to go to that place, to look at that spot, to even think about, I better go get the thing. She could have gone there this morning and got it. No, for some reason, it seemed like the afternoon was the most appropriate time. She didn't feel an urgent, oh my gosh, I've got to do this now. Although those sorts of impressions and tuggings can happen. Now, some people are going to have more natural ability with these types of things than others. The only issue with natural ability is that it's not always that well trained and refined. So if you've got natural ability, but it kind of, like, you've got data coming in and, if it's correct most of the time, or if you truly believe that it's correct 99 to 100 of the time, mate, well done. Go you. But what can happen is that, and I refer back to my time as a guitar music teacher. I had students show up who had natural ability, and that gave them a sense of confidence. And they were nice kids too, don't get me wrong, right? Nice people in general, because I was teaching adults as well. But what I found happening sometimes is that natural ability they'd get used to having it there as just a natural state of being. And when they came up to an obstacle, because they hadn't had to apply any effort previously, they didn't have what they needed to push through or get over or to climb over it, so to speak. And so they didn't have a facility or a faculty on board to help them work through the other thing, or to work through the thing that they were unaccustomed. They hadn't done any heavy lifting. I had students, and because I was the same, I was not very good at guitar when I first started playing. I had to work pretty damn hard. It was okay though, because I really enjoyed it when I was doing it. But the students who were just keen and maybe didn't have a lot of natural ability, they worked for it and they got it, 9 times out of 10. I'd even say more than that, to be fair. Like if a kid is determined, if they found their thing, they go, I can do the thing. This is me, nothing else. They would just forget video games, forget TV, forget whatever. They just went and did that thing. In fact, sometimes the parents would be like, oh, stop practicing. It's time for dinner. Go and clean your room or da-da-da. And I think this kind of practice can be treated the same way too. But those kids who did the practice, or those students who did the practice, they didn't necessarily have a lot of natural ability. However, because they were used to working towards it, they were building up other supporting muscles that maybe they didn't perceive the value of or didn't even know were there until they needed them. And then they're like, oh, wow, I thought this was going to be hard, but I seem to have this ability to just move through this blockage or situation. So that's something that I've come across that, like obviously a lot of what I talk about is got a lot to do with this book, not all of it. And this book is an excellent sort of compacted set of skills to develop. This is Franz Baden, Initiation to Hermetics, and I do believe it would have been Franz Baden's birthday today. So happy birthday, Franz. Thank you for this wonderful book. In fact, thank you for the body of works, because there's more than just one book. But just in regards to basic skill development, and that's even managing your internal landscape or settling down any kind of volatility in your emotional state, or you've got a scattered mind, or you're unable to sit still. This text here, it's quite thick, and I mean, what is it? 360 maybe pages. It's a long development process. However, it's also very interesting. And when you read it and understand that in context that it's a development pathway to create magicians and teach magicians, basically, and whatever you think that is, there's no summoning of spirits or anything in that book. It's not that kind of book, really. He does talk about spirit evocation in his second book. That's a separate thing. What we're doing is that we're improving existing faculties so that we can navigate this ever-changing landscape of life, so that we just kind of, if we call it a corridor or a hallway, we're not banging up against the walls, collecting karma, as one of the teachers once said. We have a much sort of clearer picture. We're not being driven and pulled about by our emotions and unhelpful sort of base instincts, whether it's food or some kind of weird fetish or something like that. Like these things. I tell you what, the world is replete with influence, and media especially. There's a lot of people trying to get your attention, and they're not always necessarily all that scrupulous or honest or well-meaning as to how they get that attention. And there's I think it's in sales or marketing, I once heard that like they need people to basically see that ad about 12 times before it sort of seeps into the background, before it permeates into a place that's likely to initiate a purchasing decision of some kind. When you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and you're like, I have no idea why, but I feel like going and getting a burger, like a Big Mac or something like that. And I don't even eat that stuff. Why is there a thing going, go get a Big Mac? So we can, in essence, liberate ourselves through process. It's an ongoing situation. And this will allow us to make decisions that are far more conducive to higher quality outcomes, because we're not being informed by external influences that really just want us to do other stuff. Okay. And, becoming immune to these types of influences is very helpful in life. Right now you're watching a ticker down the bottom, right? Which is like giving you links to my Substack and my booking page. Now, here's a good exercise. I don't want you to look at either of those things. Can you just focus on me? You're looking at this thing up here too. It's moving around from time to time. Just disregard all of this stuff. Can you watch it's like watching a TV show that's like recorded in another language, and it's overdubbed in another language, and then it's got subtitles underneath. Oh my gosh, in English. That's just like, that's too much. I had a years ago, I had a Russian girlfriend actually, and she invited me round and for dinner. I think we went out for dinner and then came back. We were sitting on the couch and we were watching something on the TV, and she puts this guy on. She says, "Okay, he's funny guy. Okay, cool." So she puts him on, and his mannerisms were pretty funny. I couldn't understand a word he said. I think he was speaking in a European language that wasn't Russian, but there was an delayed overdub of somebody like translating it into Russian. So he was, and then you'd hear, and then there were these subtitles down the bottom. Oh my gosh, that was challenging to sort of focus on that. I think you'd actually have to get good at that, like not splitting your attention, but just being able to kind of like just focus on something. And this is what these practices are for. They're about helping us to refine specific things and work them so they get very good on their own. So we're not sort of just entertaining this big, exciting, full-on environment. There might be times for that, but what we're doing is we're learning how to sort of hone each one of the things, just like you would, when you're, modifying your car or building up your car or building a hot rod or something. You take a base model, and then, this month I can afford to, put some flash new tires on it. And then next month I'm going to put a spoiler on the back or something. And then the next month I'm going to put a new air filter on it. And then the next month I'm going to whatever. And you slowly improve parts of it. And you do it intelligently as well, because, it's like I've said before, if you buy yourself a little Mini Cooper and then put a big V8 engine in it, that chassis and that body is not really designed to sort of host a high-performance engine of that nature, because it's just wasn't built for that. There's a proportional kind of obviousness, like, a car this big has an engine usually around this big. It doesn't have an engine that's like, that would be probably a bit irresponsible, but I'm sure it'd be fun though. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to give it about another 10 minutes. So if anyone's got any questions, please feel free to drop them into the chat. Comments are welcome too. And let's see here. Okay. Yeah. So for those of you who are considering stepping out onto the path of initiation, and in this case, initiation into Hermetics by, say, Franz Barden, this is probably a good time of the year to start thinking about it. And if you've got time off, if you're going on holiday, get yourself a copy of the book or get it on your Kindle. You can get PDFs of it too. I think it's out of print. I don't know if anyone's doing any print runs at the moment. So, and the author has been deceased for over 50 years, although I'm not sure what the legality is because it's different in different countries. But you can obtain what I would call third-party PDFs or PDFs. Some of them are actually quite good because some of them are slightly better translations, and they have lots of key, valuable sort of notes and things in them too. But essentially, makes for good reading. If you can get your way through that book within a few weeks, you're doing quite well. It's pretty heavy reading, but essentially you familiarize yourself, and then you start again. I wouldn't seek to try and take everything in and understand everything from the first pass, because you won't. There's a lot of, well, maybe some of you will, but largely I would say most people won't. It's quite a different body of information to what I would say even a lot of magical practices are used to. And mainly to do with the collection of exercises and also sort of how it's laid out about how to do them. So you have an exercise, you get told, okay, do this, and you want to be able to do it for this long. It gives you a type of metric to go by, a guide, so you know once you can achieve this, then you move on to the next thing. And that is certainly one approach to it, and that is usually what's referred to as sort of more traditional approach, which is doing one exercise and then moving to the other. But just familiarizing yourself with the pathway in the meantime can be very nourishing. And there is a book before Initiation into Hermetics which you can read, which can be quite stimulating as well, called Frabato, Frabato, Frabato. But if you look up Franz Baden, you will see there's a bunch of books out there. And if you decide to step out on this path, for some, you might take the concentrated approach where you decide, right, I'm going to do this sunrise to sunset. I'm going to practice. I'm going to put aside 3 months and get some good momentum going. I'm not going to say you're going to finish it all in 3 months, but you'll certainly have, because it's one thing to, how like you go to the gym and you learn how to lift a dumbbell correctly, right? So that when you're doing it right. And then it's the repetition of that correct exercise which helps to build build the muscle in a good way. So you're not, doing bad posture and maybe hurting yourself in other areas or later on. It's the same process. You learn how to do the exercise and become proficient at it, at doing it correctly, and then you carry on doing it. And, you'll notice the benefits of this. Now, some of you may end up having some pretty interesting experiences straight off the bat. Some of you might take a bit longer, but you're determined. And determination pays off. And of course, when you're stacking these skills, you can see how they work together. It's sort of very similar to playing the guitar. With your left hand, you might be learning to tap or change chords fast. And with your right hand, you're learning how to sweep pick or finger pick notes and these types of things. And they complement each other in slightly different ways. And maybe you're singing at the same time and tapping your foot and all these types of things. You can see how over time, even one of the functions of your left hand on a guitar, there's a sequential sort of pathway of development that will ensure the greater likelihood of success. And that's what that book is, Initiation into Hermetics. It's a breakdown of very common sorts of exercises, but put into a sequential process. But rather than sort of like working on muscle groups, you're working on individual muscles, and then you work on the next muscle and the next muscle, and then they sort of get brought together as well. And they all kind of help each other out. You're building a lot of supportive muscles here, but you're getting each one of these 3 bodies, your mental, your astral, and your vital physical body, you're getting them to operate more effectively and efficiently and more cleanly. And what results in is that you get a type of what's called an equilibrium or an equanimity in each one, where there is not a predominant element, because this is all based around the elements as the organizing sort of categorization system, the organizing principle of an elemental sort of framework, where at the mental level we have the 4 elements: fire, water, and earth, and the astral and the physical, vital too. And they're all different, but they can all be balanced. So what happens is that there's the basically, if I had something round here, I don't have a round. Do I have a round thing? That would be a better way of doing it. Here we go. There's a round thing. It's a lid. Okay. So if you crossed this into 4 and put a quadrant in it, and you'd have fire, air, water, and earth. Now, if one of them, we want it nice and flat and balanced. We don't want it sort of like this. And when it's balanced, when we learn how to balance the elements in each one of these three realms, here, here, and here, then we start experiencing this harmony or this equilibrium. It's kind of like when you're learning a guitar chord. I've got my guitar right here, so I might as well. So when you're playing a guitar chord, you might be like, okay, I've got the, let's just say this is the four elements and I'm playing them and I want to hear harmony. Okay, maybe you get some of them in harmony and maybe some of them you don't. The reality is that if they're not all at least mostly harmonious, if we've got true harmony, then maybe we've got this. Oh, that's a bit out. Let's try that again. Still a little bit out, but there's disharmonious and then there's really disharmonious. And so we learn to be able to perceive when harmony is present and when it is not present. And there are subtle degrees of that perception that becomes quite apparent to us. And so understanding that, first of all, we have to be able to perceive it, the harmony and the disharmony. And that is something we may find to be of incredible value and even a treasure, a great treasure. But first we have to discover it. And then we go back to maybe where we were, which can happen. We can invoke reminders of the way we used to be by eating certain things or drinking certain things or hanging out with certain people or putting ourselves into certain situations and going, oh yeah, this used to be fun. It's not fun anymore. And then you go back and exercise those new muscles you've been working on, and that helps to sort of reharmonize, recalibrate. And you're like, oh yeah, this is where I'd rather be. Okay. Man, how didn't I pick this up before? Because it used to be a lot of fun. Well, it's just not anymore, is it? But we've got to be able to know the difference, and that's why we have contrast, before and after. Well, everyone, I want to say a big thank you. I'm going to sign off in a moment. I've got about another 2.5 minutes left, I think. If anyone's got any comments they'd like to quickly throw in or any questions before the timer runs out, now's a good time. I will download this and probably chop it up a little bit because there's a couple of lessons in here that I can package up and repost. But I want to say thank you to everyone that's joined me in today and come on board and hung out. It's been absolutely a pleasure. I'd like to say, for more of what I have created and what I continue to create, philrice.substack.com. There's a lot of information on there. There's blogs. There's also a way you can support this YouTube channel on there too by signing up for a monthly subscription. It's like $5 or $6. And then, of course, there's this here. If you want to book me for a reading, a healing session, or meditation instruction. And, I have a good decade of, doing this full time pretty much. So, you can take advantage of my personal practice and everything that I've seen and talked about. And if you're new to this channel and new to what I'm talking about, you can check out the other videos on my YouTube. There's quite a bit of material to cover here. A lot of it revolves around Hermetics and Kabbalah. But also, there is the topic of Reiki, healing, and these types of things. So, I think I'm being called. All right, I better go. Thank you so much, guys. Stay in touch, and we'll talk again very soon. Stay well.